Breaking today, the implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archewell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed, and an astonishing double blow for the fake Duchess. We're going to get into it all with Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, in just 1 second. But first, this post from Queen Esther, I think, sums up the end of the year. Meghan Markle finally achieved something in 2025 without having to buy it. Villain of the Year, Worst TV Show of 2025, Most Disliked Celebrity, a clean sweep that confirms one thing: the public is done. The problem has always been credibility and authenticity. She has neither. 2025 was not a turning point, it was a conclusion. And Brittany, Happy New Year to you. Great to have you back live with us today. So much news to discuss. And I honestly do believe that this double blow represents the end.
It really does, Dan, and Happy New Year to you and your audience as well. But this has been like the last week of 2025 just revealed how catastrophically bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archewell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely. And it's been revealed for what it really always was, which is a publicity stunt. They were completely and utterly willing to throw aside the people they were supposed to help. And now we have the situation where it's all their art, it's just artifice, it's just there for show. And Harry and Meghan just don't have a lot of hope going into 2026. They definitely tried to attempt, especially Meghan, to say that things were going to get better in 2025, but instead things have collapsed and burned.
They really have. And I want to get into the details of this, Brittany, because the details here matter, given that everything Harry and Meghan do is topspin, trying to convince the world, and very often the mainstream media are sucked in, that everything's okay, but it's really not. And the first revelation in regards to Archewell is that the charity is down to just 2 staffers. And the New York Post reporting that indeed it is now operating as all smoke and mirrors. Sarah Nathan, who is their editor-at-large, said that Harry and Meghan have been forced to downsize the staff as it was costing them so much. The big question was, would Archewell close or would another charity take over? Harry and Meghan were looking to get a fiscal sponsor, someone to take on the outgoing costs and to keep things cheap. Really, it's all smoke and mirrors. Page 6 confirmed that 3 members, 60% of the charity staff, have now been let go. But of course, what this tax information really reveals is that they are using Archewell to fund their lifestyle, not to change the world, because the security bill alone said to be around $2 million a year, with money flowing out of the charity. So Archewell actually recorded total expenses of $5.1 million, according to its latest 990 form. Salaries for 2024 were listed at $913,000. Expenses were up 54% year on year, soaring from $3.3 million. Other expenses recorded at $2.9 million. Meanwhile, donations and grants to the group dipped from $5.3 million in 2023 to $2.1 million in 2024. Insiders skeptical of how Archewell, which doled out $1.25 million in grants in 2024, can continue. The source said if they're shooting out grants, then that's a net loss and they're not bringing in that much money. So, Brittany, when you think about this, I believe it is clear exposure of what Archewell really is. A PR project, nothing more. It's disgusting.
It really is, Dan. And one of the things is that Harry and Meghan have always said service is universal. They're going to be doing charity in the States and all these things. And it's just completely and utterly false. It was just a lie from the very face of it. And we've seen this endlessly. Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian. But when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married Harry, she was part of World Vision, but dropped them as soon as she got engaged. And so it's like, if you really cared about the organization in the first place. Why not continue working with them? But no, no, no. She just threw them to the side as soon as she could. And I think we see this reflected here. And also, what's important to point out is that the foundation was set up, I think, in part to allow them to kind of offset some of their taxes. I mean, a lot of celebrities and people in Hollywood do this. However, what I think is really interesting is that obviously they were expecting a lot more money to come in, and it hasn't. In fact, I think a whole bunch of money is flowing out and very little is flowing back into Harry and Meghan. And this is part of the reason for the collapse, is that the finances are really starting to pinch, that the money is just not flowing in, and they cannot, even for any more time, actually sustain this charity the way they set it up. So they had to essentially, in some ways, downgrade it to actually make it manageable for them. And so definitely the dreams of Hollywood superstardom and billions of money, billions of dollars rolling in just has never ever happened.
Claims surrounding Meghan Markle's Archewell charity and her lifestyle venture, as ever, are once again under intense scrutiny. Critics allege inconsistencies between public messaging and documented outcomes, raising questions about transparency, branding, and credibility. Commentators argue that what was promoted as humanitarian impact and authentic storytelling may, in reality, have relied more on image than substance. Supporters strongly deny wrongdoing, but sceptics insist the unanswered questions are piling up. Joining us alongside the Royal News Network, we break down what critics describe as a double blow for the Sussex brand, separating verified facts from opinion and hype from hard evidence. If you want clear analysis without the spin, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next.
Then, Brittany, we get to the exodus. And it is a very, very significant exodus, because really the two most senior staff, the two people who have been propagandists for Prince Harry and Meghan, who have lied to the world for Prince Harry and Meghan, who have destroyed their own credibility for Prince Harry and Meghan, now out. And that's why I believe the departures of Meredith Maines and James Holt, not necessarily names that the public will know, but huge forces behind the Harry and Meghan project. I mean, James Holt has been there as propagandist in chief ever since his time in the British royal family with the duplicitous duo. Meredith Maines came in earlier this year to apparently professionalize the operation, save Harry and Meghan, walks, Brittany, we learn, just hours after the fiasco involving the Kardashians, where she was forced to lie on behalf of her principals, claiming, you might remember, Brittany, that there was this special form that the Sussexes had filled in before attending Kris Jenner's 70th, explaining that they didn't want to have their photographs taken. Problem is, it never existed. James Holt moving back to the United Kingdom, some people believe to lay the groundwork for a potential Harry project in Britain if he gets his security back, which we're going to come to shortly. But Brittany, you cannot underestimate what it means for Harry and Meghan to lose these two staff members. Yes, we know they're bullies. Yes, we know they have lost so many staffers before. But these two were utterly key to the operation, utterly central to the Harry and Meghan project, which is why I genuinely believe we start 2026.
Dan, when this, especially when James Holt left, like that was a huge shock, because he has been with them since they were in the royal family. He has been their propagandist in chief. He's been a part of everything. And then he just sort of goes, no, I'm just going to go back to the UK. And it just demonstrates some severe, severe problems going on within the organization. And before that, of course, you have Meredith and then a couple of staffers even before that. And so it's really becoming clear that Harry and Meghan are having to really pare down their operations. And it's hard not to speculate that maybe a split is in the future. And this is part of process to sort of streamline things in that direction, because they're not going to be doing things together anymore. Meghan is going to be doing her thing. Harry's going to be attempting to make it back in the UK. And so they just really don't have a strategy. And Meredith Maines tried the best she could. But Harry and Meghan are horrible principals. They have no self-control at all. They are terrible to manage, and it's impossible. And you, as a PR professional, damage your reputation by representing them. It doesn't help your career, it hurts your career, and it hurts the people you have connections with and their connections and these sorts of things. And so her departing, not a big surprise. I can't imagine having to go to the Kardashians or just basically lying publicly about what the Kardashians said, the most powerful people, really, in many ways, in Hollywood. It's insane, but Harry and Meghan just lack the complete and utter discipline to operate at the levels they want to.
Oh, they do. They absolutely do. And then we come to was never, as Lady Colin Campbell has christened Meghan Markle's lifestyle business. Now, Brittany, you have been on this right from the start. It has been obvious that this business is a disaster. And so much of the smoke and mirrors in the early days of the launch of that business was connected to the scarcity strategy, which meant that virtually no product was put on sale, right? So that it would sell out. And so that she got the good headlines, or what she thought was the good headlines. But now, the true extent of the stock available for As Ever has been revealed, and it makes it very clear that there is a reason why Meghan is now literally giving the product away. Literally, please take my marmalade for free. And you've summed it up beautifully, Brittany. Let me just take you through this new reporting from you overnight, where you write, will it take Meghan Markle 9 years to get through her signature fruit spread gift box stock? That's seemingly what the math says, as an error in her As Ever website allows customers to not only see the entire amount in stock, but purchase them to the tune of over $5 million. This gives the greatest insight to the failure of As Ever so far, and the continued failure of Meghan Markle to manage products, websites, and brands, as this kind of information should never be publicly available. At this time, Meghan is sitting on roughly $23 million worth of product in stock, including 137,435 of her signature fruit spread box. The numbers last night revealed that within about 12 hours, she moved 20 of these. If you double that count to 40 and divide by the stock and then the number of days in a year, it appears that it will take her upwards of 9 years to move all of the stock if the product moves at current rates. That's catastrophically bad. While this is just a small snapshot and not an overall indicator, it seems to confirm what many have suspected. Meghan Markle's As Ever gamble was a time suck and a money drain. It just seems that the audience for the products is rather small, and massively overstocking seems to indicate a lack of market research and overconfidence that will result in product waste. Only time will tell how long this company will last, and then you have quite rightly given credit to Saint Meghan Markle subreddit and the user KikiLove777 for discovering this obvious error in the website. Brittany, this is disastrous. This is catastrophic. It proves what you have been saying for some time, that As Ever is a flop, is a disaster. But the fact that this has been allowed to happen, Brittany, shows you what a shoddy, substandard, amateur hour business Meghan is running.
It really does. I was shocked, Dan. Like when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way. Because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in and you're getting stock counts. And I'm like, you should never, ever see that on a website. And in case, unless they have like 1 or 2 left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad. And to move them so slowly, again, this was just anecdotal, is insane. And to think that the website is so poorly constructed that you can see any of this information, again, just proves how poorly managed this business is, how much of a terrible businesswoman Meghan Markle is, and how much she didn't put any forethought into this and how little it's moving. This sort of proves it, I think. Obviously, we don't know how much she put in stock in the first place and these sorts of things. But I really just don't think this brand is taking off. And she has potentially made a lot of product based off bad information rather than doing the smart thing she did the worst thing possible. And now she might be sitting on a ton of product that is not moving. It's just absolutely insane. It's an absolute shock, really. I mean, it is and it isn't, because this is Meghan Markle. She's really bad at business.
Yeah. But I
another
mean,
indicator.
it just shows how bad it is, because she is sitting on infinite numbers of stock, because Infinite Sky 55 actually did the same with every product and has now listed the current unsold inventory for the entire Was Never Sweet. And I mean, it's astonishing to me. Honey box, 24,000 available. Orange marmalade, 44,000. Flour sprinkles, 80,000. That was meant to be the big hit, Brittany.
I thought that was really funny.
Hardly. Sage honey,
Nobody wants it.
8,000. Cider mulling kit, 14,000. Well, that was meant to sell over Christmas. No one wants it outside of Christmas. Toddy mulling kit, 15,000. The candle 1, 27,000. Candle 2, 62,000. Peppermint tea, 39,000. Lemon tea, 35,000. Hibiscus tea, 37,000. Then the wine, Brittany, which you would imagine has been ordered in lower numbers, still has huge amounts of stock. The Brut, 6,800. The Sauvignon Blanc, 46,000. The Rosé, 23,000. And the Wooden Crate, which is a single bottle, 1,900 unsold. I mean, these are eye-watering figures. Anyone looking at this business would say you have a massive problem.
As scrutiny intensifies, analysts suggest the wider impact could be long-lasting. Public trust, once lost, is difficult to rebuild, especially in an era where audiences demand accountability, receipts, and results. With the Royal News Network, we examine how these allegations may affect Meghan Markle's future projects, partnerships, and public standing, and whether 2025 marks a turning point in how celebrity activism is judged. The bigger question now isn't just about one charity or one brand. It's about whether carefully managed narratives can survive sustained public skepticism. Subscribe to Royal Household for breaking royal commentary, media analysis, and the stories.
Dan, as well, a lot of these are perishable goods. How long can she keep them in stock while they're still good, if this is the amount of product she's actually made? Now, again, some people have said, well, some of this product is being made on demand or something. I don't actually think that's the case, because you're talking about spreads and jams and these sorts of things, which I think you would have to make at once. And she had mentioned in an interview, don't forget, ordering 1 million jars for her spread. And so those numbers kind of calculate to that. And she has a huge problem now of having way too much inventory, potentially not being able to sell any of it. And she overestimated based on a false premise. And you'll remember as well, every time she had a sellout, she would run to like Harper's Bazaar or In Style to tell them, the business publications that they are, tell them how great her brand is doing. We haven't heard anything like that in quite a while, which I think seems to indicate that things aren't going super well. She had a little bit of interest in the beginning, but anybody who, let's say, had a curiosity factor was sort of done. And what I think is really funny is that the candle that is numbered after her birthday is the one that's still 62,000 in stock, which I find really hysterical, that nobody really wants Meghan's customized candle of Meghan's birthday. I think is hilarious. So,
and now,
just an absolute disaster.
We learn that she's not giving up, because this is the problem. She's never going to give up. She's just going to dig the hole deeper. And look at this. Royally Sage pointing out that she pillaged Pinterest, Joanna Gaines, Martha Stewart for her show. Can't wait for the lawsuits after the news that Meghan Markle will release her first cookbook this year, featuring recipes from her Netflix series as Duchess plots expansion of her As Ever brand. I mean, the delusion, Brittany, the absolute delusion. Because, of course, we know Martha Stewart is very angry about the one pot pasta. So if Meghan dares goes and puts that recipe in the book, she could be facing a lawsuit.
She definitely could. And you've got to think as well, Dan, her show didn't do well. Her show flopped and failed. It had a good first season, but that was more over the I'm Meghan Sussex tantrum that she did with Mindy Kaling. I think that's why the vast majority of people watched. And we have an indication that that's true, because nobody else tuned in again. And so you have this entire situation here. where she's promoting this book. And this cookbook should have been available months ago, because now she's going to be too far past the show and there's no season 3. There's no way to promote it. Like, this is all so terribly done, terribly thought through. And Meghan just threw a bunch of stuff against the wall last year and nothing really stuck. And now she's stuck trying to make basically, flour sprinkles all the time, make it a thing. And it's just not happening. And she's going to find a little bit of an audience for this cookbook, but I would almost guarantee you it would have sold better last year if she had tried. But she doesn't think of anything, and she's so delusional. She'll just keep spending money and spending them into bankruptcy, basically trying to make this business work so she doesn't look like, again, having another failure on her hands.
100%. But of course, Brittany, this is why Prince Harry is so desperate. So desperate on so many levels, and most desperate to return to the United Kingdom, to get as far away from his wife as possible, which is why, and I'm furious about this, the British public, people like me, are about to have to pay for his paranoia. This from Charlotte Griffiths, who we know is a Sussex propagandist working for the Mail on Sunday, claiming that Harry's stalker scare means it is now nailed on that he is going to be given armed police guards for his visits to the UK. Now, there's the stalker. I mean, this is a female. There was no suggestion that this so-called stalker was anything other than a Sussex squad loon. But it's worked in terms of the narrative for Harry. And let me take you through Charlotte Griffiths' reporting on this. It's come direct from the Sussexes. Prince Harry has won his fight for automatic taxpayer-funded armed protection when he returns to the UK, according to sources close to the Sussexes. A ruling in the Duke's favour, expected to be announced within weeks, could allow for a reunion between King Charles and his grandchildren Archie and Lily, who live in the US. Sources close to the Sussexes told the Mail on Sunday that the reinstatement of armed security has been assured after a fresh risk assessment was carried out for the Royal and VIP Executive Committee RAVEC. They said it's now a formality. Sources at the Home Office have indicated that security is now nailed on for Harry. This new revelation too, Harry was provided with police protection for 1 day only on his trip for the UK, the month of the so-called stalker. This stalker had apparently made threats online and was able to secure access to a zone close to Harry. Harry said to have felt abandoned 2 days later when, without police protection, the same woman got within a stone's throw of him at another engagement and attempted to approach him. It fell to a member of the Duke's private staff, who was ex-army, to step in and protect him. His timely intervention, where he managed to body block the woman, was one of several security lapses that were included as evidence to be flagged to the Risk Management Board. According to sources, Risk Management Board members have now decided that the Duke does meet the threshold for protection, leaving RAVEC with little choice but to approve his request. A source said on Saturday the only thing that could scupper his approval now would be an intervention from the palace. That, however, seems increasingly unlikely given signs of rapprochement between the Duke and his father. Charles is said to be very keen to meet his Californian-based grandchildren on home soil again. The King last met Archie and Lily when they visited the UK as part of the late Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee celebrations in February 2022. Another source close to the Sussexes added, "We aren't taking anything for granted. Obviously, given he's the King's son, it is the right thing to do, but it's about everyone being able to save face, and the Risk Management Board is the common sense way to do that." A source adding, "If you knew about the kind of threats Harry and his children had been getting, then you would understand why he doesn't want to bring the kids over until police protection is granted." Meghan not expected to join Harry on a visit to the UK next month when he is set to give evidence in a court case involving Associated Newspapers. A spokesman for the Sussexes said, "We can't comment on security matters." A government spokesman said the UK government's protective security system is rigorous and proportionate. It is our long-standing policy not to provide detailed information on those arrangements, as doing so could compromise their integrity and affect individual security. But lots of questions over this so-called stalker, according to Taz making the point, they never once mentioned a stalker in all of their interviews. Then one miraculously starts turning up only in the UK when his security demands are shut down. It was a setup, in my opinion. Harry will be given guards. It is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And Brittany, you added if Prince Harry does win his taxpayer-funded security back, he will be even less popular than he already is, along with his wife and kids. There is no appetite for Harry in the UK, nor does Meghan want to go back. This will not fix his marriage or his issues within the royal family. It also, again, highlights the overall problem with Harry and Meghan, which is royalty versus celebrity. Is the stalking the direct result of the royal family or simply a byproduct of being famous? A lot of famous people, and even not famous or internet famous people, have stalkers. Where is the line? Because if the reasoning is just that he has a stalker, I would imagine that every celebrity with the same problem should be afforded the same taxpayer courtesy. And Brittany, here, I couldn't agree with you more on all of those points, because it's something that all of us in the public eye face. Harry, I believe, is absolutely trying to boost the so-called threat provided by the security. Brittany, trust me, if there was any suggestion that this woman was armed in any way, that she had provided any type of imminent physical threat to Prince Harry, we would have heard all about it. This was a fan. It was a crazy Sussex squad fan. Lots of them travel all over the world. The fact that this is all he's got to try and convince Ravik to give him the security is astonishing. And I also think, Brittany, you're completely right to say this will make him even less popular, because trust me, people here in the United Kingdom are going to be utterly ropeable, utterly furious at a time when we are struggling financially to take our taxpayer money to provide him with security.
It's going to be an absolute disaster, Dan. I don't know. I mean, again, this goes all to Harry's delusions here. Nobody really wants or needs him in the UK anymore. He has left. And I think it's the greatest indicator that life is really, really bad in Montecito, that he does want to go back to the UK, that he does want to re-embrace the life that he so willfully gave up in a massive temper tantrum, only to realize that, oh, life was actually better in the UK pre Meghan Markle. And so I want to go back, and I want everything I had before. But this stalker thing is so weak, I think, because so many people who are in the public eye, newscasters, celebrities, people on social media, these sorts of things, they have stalkers. And some of them, yes, can be dangerous, but you also have the people who are just Uber fans. And really, this woman to me sounds more like an Uber fan who's just a little too obsessive rather than somebody truly dangerous. And it's very convenient that all of a sudden this is coming up. But again, it comes back to, is this the direct result of Harry being tied to the king because he has a function within the state, which is why the state should pay for royal security? Or is he just now a famous person? I mean, obviously his family is a huge connection to that, but him just being famous doesn't mean he should get security. And if every celebrity who has a stalker, they should be demanding security too now if Harry gets it. Because look at that. He's arguing in public, basically, I have this lone stalker who's a woman who seems maybe a little dangerous. I think people thinking of, I can't pay rent, I can't pay my utility bills, are going to be very, very angry. And he should expect protests when he comes back, angry crowds sometimes now, because people don't want to pay for this.
You are so right. You are so right, Brittany. This is not going to be good news for Harry. He is digging his hole even deeper. And that's before, by the way, and we'll cover it, of course, Brittany, we even get to the court case, which is just looking disastrous for him. I think it will be the final nail in his credibility coffin.